Hello, welcome inside the Chris Evans podcast. Joined today with Bluejay head coach Jadon Davenport. Coach, appreciate you joining some time with us.
Thanks for having me.
Whew, we are in the middle of the season, a busy week. We'll talk about all that good stuff, but fourth year in Guthrie.
Fourth year, this is going on 4. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it seems like just yesterday.
And we're going to talk about all the duels, all the number one teams, all your kids, all that good stuff. But I really want to talk about the program. It really, over the last few years, has really taken off and feel like a program. Yes, we've been to dual state back-to-back years,
yes.
and that we only had gone only one time maybe in the first 30 years of that. And now here we are back-to-back, hoping to make it 3 years in a row. We'll talk about that as well. But the program, I'm telling you, Coach, we were at the Tuttle duel last night, and the crowds all year have been huge inside the gymnasium.
Well, I mean, I just got incredible families.
Yeah.
And it's, running that booster club and the youth league with the Silvases down there. I mean, they bring out an incredible crowd, and they do a great job just, letting the community know. And I think the community knows that how, my kids go out there and they battle every moment that they're out there on the mat. So I think they realize that. And, I know the town of Guthrie loves, competitors, and they like to win. And I think they realize that, this wrestling program is one of those programs that can go out and do that.
It's the small things, after weigh-in, there's a little taco bar where kids can go there and fuel up. And it's just small things like that. And I went there, and there was like 5 or 6 people taking photos. And when I was just talking about like my little iPhone photo, these are like nice big camera lenses. Yes. I mean, there's going to be, if there's a moment to catch on photo, it's going to be caught with all the great photographers we have. But it's just those small things like that have really made this a true program.
Yes. I mean, Kaya Calvert, she does a great job with her photography. I mean, she's phenomenal. Nicole Hall, she does the same thing with her pictures. So they capture every single moment that needs to be captured, good or bad.
Right.
It's gonna be taken pictured of. But they just do a great job, and they do a really great job in letting the community know and the publicity that wrestling deserves in this town, especially the kids. I don't think the community knows on how hard these kids work in practice, and they kind of see the end result, but day in, day out, these kids are on a grind, and they're not just practicing in practice, but they're going home and they're going on runs, and they do everything possible to win, and they really want to.
And they've done it on the big stage. I mean, we talked about runner-up dual state last year, runner-up state, so that they've been there, they've been the big stage, so that only brings more confidence into this season.
Yes, it does. I mean, the seniors last year, they set that foundation, to what Guthrie's going to be, years to come. So I kind of owe it all to those guys that last year and these seniors this year, the guys I've had since they were freshmen and sophomores. They deserve all the credit. I can go and I can scream, I can coach, but they're the ones out there, battling, every minute out there on the mat. So they're the ones that's actually built this program that deserves all the credit where this program's at right now.
And then you brought in your brother to help with some X's and O's.
Yes. Jeremy's a great technician. He's a four-time state champ. He's a number 26 four-timer in the state of Oklahoma, and he was also a 2-time All-American in college. So he was a phenomenal guy. He's a lot smaller than me, so he can get down there and wrestle those little guys with like our Eli Braden Halls and our Caden Herondines. Like he can go out there and actually physically, compete with them and show them, what it's like at the college level. And so implement some of that college style into our program. That's what he does a great job at.
And what's interesting also, building another program, is the amount of girls that have come out. Well, of course, we talk about Kalia and Clarabelle and Shelly, but more and more numbers are coming out. And so now you have a junior high duel, you have a girls duel, and now a boys duel. And not many schools can do that.
Yes, not very many. And, I kind of owe that to, I walked in with, Kalia being a phenomenal wrestler that she is, with, Shelly and Clarabelle being 8th graders and, them coming up in the future. But, I got here, they're freshmen. I knew that, this was the start. And so I kind of, Kalia, man, she's the reason why I think so many girls are coming out. They see the success that she had, starting wrestling when she was, 6th, 7th grade, and then becoming a state champion, ranked nationally, ranked top 20 in the nation, having opportunities to go compete for a world championship for Puerto Rico. And I mean, she's a phenomenal athlete. And I think that's what other girls are seeing, not just in the high school, but younger girls are saying, I don't have to just have success, success can come in this sport, and I can that can set me up for my future. Clea's, loves culinary, so she gets to go to OCU, wrestle, get her school paid for, and really gets to set up for her life, after her wrestling career. So all these other girls that's college wrestling and girls is new. It's just not getting sanctioned in D1s. It got started back in 2008, so it is fairly new. And so all these girls, they can come in and compete, and they can go to college, get school paid for, get scholarships, and they can go and have an excellent life outside of their wrestling career. And wrestling can kind of set that foundation for their life to come.
Yeah, Kalia, a state champion. Her brother Eli Kirk, a state champion. We'll talk about Eli in a second, but take us back to that moment. Eli wins the state championship, and he has to hustle over to watch his sister, and she won a state championship. They won 2 state championships within about 10 minutes of each other.
Yes, Eli is kind of a bittersweet moment because that kid Clay Gates, he's a phenomenal wrestler from Collinsville, but he's the one that beat us, his sophomore year in the semis, beat us in overtime. Yeah. So it was so awesome to get that match back, and especially on that stage, and for them to go out there and be siblings, brother and sister, and be the first brother and sister duo to win it in the state of Oklahoma. Yeah. So not only for this historical town like what Guthrie is, but they're also making history themselves coming from this town. So it was, it's a bittersweet. I loved seeing it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a great moment. I would always cherish that moment forever. Yeah. And it's one of those things. I remember, hugging Eli right after his match, and then literally having to turn around and say, hey, we got to go. Yeah, we got to go. And he didn't stop. He immediately took off, and we bolted across that mat, and we watched Kalia go out there and pin her girl and win a state title, and then just watching them, meet at that table and hug each other is one of the greatest moments I think I might have in my career, to be honest. Yeah, no, it was fun to watch from a distance. It was a really cool moment, no doubt about that. So let's talk about this season, Coach. I tell you, by the end of this week, your schedule, by the end of this week, you had wrestled number 1 5A, number 1 4A, and number 1 3A. Yes.
El Reno, Tuttle, Blackwell, and if you know a little bit about wrestling in Oklahoma, you kind of know those names. And,
yes.
But talk about putting that schedule together. Your state runner-up last year, you have a good core coming back. So just talk about your thought process on that schedule. So,
every single year, I've gradually got the schedule tougher and tougher and tougher, mainly because these seniors this year, I've had them since they were freshmen. They deserve that. Yeah. They deserve to go out there and compete against the best. And not only for themselves to know that they are one of the top teams in the state, but also for recruiting-wise. I wouldn't be doing Eli and Braden a favor if we have a soft schedule. Yeah. They call these colleges want to see us compete against these high-level teams and high-level competition for recruiting purposes. So I do it a lot for them, but also, I think you've heard the saying, iron sharpens iron. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer of that. I was told when I first, came in here, I was taking advice from all these other coaches that I've, got to learn under, David James at UCO, even Wes Harding, even at Collinsville, he's done all that stuff. But, I grew up being coached by him, and I just learned all these guys, and they said, Jadon, you need to try to make your regionals and state tournament the easiest tournament that you have. When I said, well, if that's the case, then that's what I'm going to try to do, because all these guys have had so much success, and obviously what they're doing is something right. Yeah. And so I kind of took that, and I've, kind of made it my own, and had this tough schedule. Like I said, this gauntlet of a schedule right now, going from Duncan to El Reno to the Cushing tournament, and then rolling into Tuttle, top 20 team in the country, and going 6-6 with them on the matches wrestle is phenomenal. And then now rolling in straight to Blackwell, which is, they lost to Tuttle only by 8 points in a duel. So they're also another tough team, and that's the only way for us to get better is go in and compete against the best. And that's the only way we know where we're at, because we don't be going into the regional tournament deer in the headlights. Right. And we know we face adversity every single duel. We've been in those moments. And so when it comes down to regionals and state, those moments aren't new to us. Yeah, there will be no surprises come playoff time, regional time, and hopefully the state tournament. But and plus, you got the Carl Albert tournament, a big 5A preview coming up as well. Yes, that tournament. You got 20 5A schools there, so 20 out of the 32 that's going to be there. So that's going to be set us up for regionals and see kind of where we're at and see what we need to work on when it comes to competing in 5A division.
You mentioned that Tuttle. I mean, they've won 13 state championships in a row in Class 4A. Heavy favorites to win number 14.
Yeah.
And here you go 12 matches and you split 6-6. I mean, that's got to elevate the kids' confidence. I mean, you can do this and that, but when you go up against the best of the best, that can only give you even more confidence.
Yes, I mean, really the thing that kind of set that duel really, kind of toward their favors, they're the highest standard in wrestling when it comes to Oklahoma. They've been there. They know that they're one of the top teams in the country. Their guys went out there and got pins where they needed to. Our guys went out. That's kind of difference. In wrestling in a dual setting, a pin's worth 6 points and a win is worth 3. So one pin is actually worth 2 victories. And they were able to go out there and get a few more pins than we did. But I mean, in hindsight, when you go 6-6 with those guys, I mean, that's incredible.
And I didn't see any intimidation.
No.
On a lot of your guys going into the match.
Yes, not at all. My guys, I mean, they're ready to scrap with the best of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll have no deer in the headlights. They'll go out there and they'll compete, and it doesn't matter who it is. And they'll go out there and they'll battle and they'll take it to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's every kid in this town, though. I mean, from football to wrestling to baseball to basketball, all these guys all the kids in this town go out there and compete, and they're not afraid of anybody.
I was at the Duncan duel leaving that, and I walked out with the official state tournament. He does every big time official there is. And we were talking, he goes, I didn't think Eli Kirk can get any better from last year. Yeah. And he's gotten so much better. He was talking about his hands. That's what he kept talking about.
Yes. Eli's brutal with his hands, meaning like when his clubs and being physical on his feet. I mean, he's just elevating his game. Eli's at a high standard, in this room. I'm not just because he's one of the best guys in the room doesn't mean he takes it easy. I'm harder on him because he's one of the best guys in the room.
I've heard him say like 7 words too. He doesn't say very much.
He's a super humble guy. He has a great personality, but he's not one of those guys that's going to go brag about it. He's going to show it out on the mat, and he's going to say, hey, you can talk the talk, but I'm going to walk the walk. And he's one of those guys that's going to go do that.
Another one, Braden Hall does that well.
Yes, Braden Hall does that. And Braden, they have 2 different styles. Braden's a grinder. Braden will go take it to you, and and one of those terms in wrestling is let's bring him out the deep water and let's drown him. And that's one thing that Braden will do. Braden will come off a match barely tired, and then you see that kid over there, and he's on his hands and knees, sucking for air, and Braden's still ready to go 3 more periods.
What's the Bryson Hall, his younger brother, in the same room? Can you feel, you went through the sibling thing before?
Yeah. I mean, it only pushes you having your sibling in there. You hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
Because if you slack off, that stuff goes home.
Yeah.
And so that's one. It's great to have them. And Braden's a great mentor for Bryson. He really is. Sometimes having siblings in there could be a struggle. But in their case, it's not. Bryson's getting better and better every single day because of Braden. Braden's not just a wrestler, but he's kind of a coach too.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Eli. Those guys are such at a high level that they're still. I mean, they're coaching as well. I mean, they'll take time. They'll see something. They'll go help a kid out.
Mm-hmm.
Because that also tells you. I mean, shows you what kind of character that they have too. They know it's not all about them. It's a team.
Yeah.
And they want us to have the best team possible. So I mean, when they see something, they'll go out there and they'll take initiative and they'll go to coach these guys up. They're one of the best leaders that we've had, in these 4 years I've been here.
And that says a lot. Of course, we talked about the Kirks. We talked about the Halls. Of course, the duel last night with Tuttle started with a Herndon and ended with a Herndon.
Yes. Yeah, they're another dynamic duo, and it's kind of great starting with one and ending with one.
Yeah.
Caden's probably one of the most athletic kids I've ever wrestled.
Yeah.
He's one of the fastest kids. He has, this slickness that you just can't really coach.
Yeah.
And he has an act for it, for the sport, and he's going to have a bright future. He's just a sophomore. Mm-hmm. And, he's the number 1 kid in 5A coming in. So he's the guy that's going to be competing for a state title this year. And he's one of the top kids in the state. And so, he's one of the guys that, got his brother to come back out. And Nick is so athletic, being a big guy like that. And that's great to have. And, Nick's right now ranked 3rd in 5A. And that's telling you something, not wrestling since he was, about a 6th grader.
Yeah.
I think that's the last time he stepped on the mat. He comes out here and, what he knows in the past and his athleticism, and, he takes coaching, extremely well. And he's every single day, I can tell you, he's one of the kids that every single time he steps on the mat, it's a new version of him, and he's getting better and better and better. And I would not be surprised if I could see, having Nick in the finals at the state tournament, just on the jumps that he's making week in, week out.
Yeah, it's one kid I want to, and we maybe talking about a couple, but one I really you just can't help but cheer for is Wesley Silvis. I mean, the kid has been through so much, and he went up against a state qualifier last night from Tuttle.
Yes,
and pinned him in the third.
Yes. Wesley. Wesley's probably one of those best hand fighters that we have. I mean, hell, he's kind of gave me cauliflower, this season because he's so good with his hands and in his head position, and he's an animal on top.
Yeah.
I mean, once he gets on top, you're not getting away. He gets those legs in, and I mean, he'll rip your shoulder off, and he's mean with it. And Sean's helped him, develop that. His dad, 2-time national champion, and he's a great family, and he has wrestling in his blood, and Wesley's really taking it and running with it, and he really wants to be good, and he really wants to be successful, and he has that opportunity to be that.
How easy would it have been for him to quit with all the injuries and say, you know what, it's just not meant to me, but not only not do that, but come back the way he has?
Yes, I mean, and what people don't realize is Wesley was, both knee surgeries and coming off, and he was actually down there at the youth league coaching these kids, with his dad, on crutches, and, they said, he didn't get to wrestle last year, but he got to see the different side of it, and there's a coaching aspect. One of these great things is David James, my old college coach, DJ. He's phenomenal. 17 national titles up there with him, and he said that I wish every single wrestler got to have a coaching year. Because coaching actually makes you better. When you have to sit there and actually coach and go through the small little bitty things, it just makes you better when you actually get to come back and actually wrestle. And I think you saw that with Wesley. He's another kid that takes wrestling phenomenally well.
Of course, a big one. We talked about Blackwell on Thursday. We're taping this on Wednesday, January 11th. You got Blackwell number 1 ranked Blackwell in 3A, and then the big Carl Everett 5A preview.
Yes.
But the big one next week is the with Piedmont for the district duels.
Districts is going. I mean, it's going to be a tough one. Piedmont's a solid team. They'll have every single guy top to bottom. Our guys are going to have to come out and compete, and we're going to have to go get bonus points to, get onto the dual state. We'll hopefully have Gabe Sanders back, which is, a state qualifier of ours that, is getting over a hurt ankle right now. He didn't wrestle last night, and we won't have him, but hopefully we'll have him back by districts, which would be extremely helpful because we're giving up, 6 points at 13. Mm-hmm. That's tough to come back from, and, giving up 3 points like that. So, I think with our guys, if they wrestle and they compete like they did last night against Tuttle.
And Eli didn't wrestle last night.
Yes, and Eli Maroney didn't wrestle. He's sick. He's, got some sickness. He's kind of throwing up, so I chose not to wrestle him. Eli Maroney is probably one of the toughest kids you ever meet. Mm-hmm. And, if I sat there and said, hey, Eli, I need you to wrestle, he would have went out and done it. He really would have. But, we're trying to get him healthy for this weekend for the 5A preview and then also rolling into to Piedmont. And so, it's going to be between us and it's going to be at Piedmont. And, I think that's going to be something we can go get the job done and make it back to dual state 3 years in a row. Yeah,
that's also with John Marshall and Bishop McGinnis. That's Thursday, January 19th.
Yes.
The winner from that. And it's weird because Piedmont is 5A dual, but 6A state.
Yes, they're in that transition period right now. So it's every other year, and it's kind of weird how they do that, but they're transitioning into 6A altogether. So this should be their last year in 5A, and I'll probably just keep them on the schedule just so we can just go beat up some Wildcats.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Piedmont around here.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. One final thing before I let you go. I appreciate you stopping by and visiting. I wouldn't bring this up without bringing up your Little League program. Silvis is a big part of that as well. But we were talking about the program earlier, and I would be weird not to mention the Little League program. I mean, the number of kids, the instruction they're getting, the new kids coming out. I mean, it's building.
Man, I'll tell you, it's night and day difference from, 3 years ago when I got here. I think we just not only from the youth league, but from all aspects of the program, but they, we got here and I think they had about 30, 35, give or take, when I first got here. And now we're up about north of 100. And, it's wild to think how fast wrestling is growing in this town. And I love to see it, but Sean's just a great guy. The Silvis family's, a phenomenal family. And, I think what people realize is, when you have a 2-time national champ down there getting to coach your kid, it's something that it's a chance of a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And you cannot get a better guy to coach your kid than Sean Silvis. And I think he's showing that. I mean, they're doing phenomenal going out in tournaments. We're having kids go out and place, making finals in the first for the first time of their career, only wrestling. This being their first or second year wrestling, and they're going out and making the finals.
Yeah.
So you see how fast. So, I mean, this program has a super, super bright future when those kids get up to the high school level, and there's no telling where this program can go.
Yeah, and they're all showing up to the duels. I'm telling you, it has been impressive watching the attendance at these duels. And I think we have one home duel left.
Yeah, one home duel left, the homecoming against Blanchard.
That's going to be January 26th for that one, and hopefully we can visit next week and talk about districts and all that other good stuff. But Coach, appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
It's always fun talking Guthrie wrestling. I'm telling you, the numbers are there in the weight room, in the room, but in the stands. It's a buzz.
Yeah, when you get all aspects of that going hand in hand, from the youth league, the junior high school, and then you implement the community, gosh, a program can go so far. Yeah. I mean, any program, it doesn't matter the sport, but when you get all those people all, rocking the same cylinder, I mean, they're all going in the same direction, have the same goal, man, state championship is the only goal.
Yeah.
And, I now feel like, last year was the first year where people started kind of, saying this can be done.
Yeah.
And this year, I think, that's the expectation. And those guys that, my wrestlers, and I think their families, is the expectation is state championship, and that is the only expectation.
Well, there's a lot of good things, and you're the nucleus of it, and congratulations on what we've done so far. A lot of work ahead of us, big goals ahead as well.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bluejay head coach Jadon Davenport. Again, the Bluejays get ready for the big duel with Blackwell on Thursday, the Carl Albert tournament this weekend, and then the big district duel with Piedmont and John Marshall, Bishop McGinnis. Also, Heritage Hall duels in there as well on January 17th.
Yes, the schedule doesn't get any easier. No, it does not.
But remember, home duel January 26th. You want to catch them one more time inside the GHS gymnasium.
Yes.
All right. Appreciate everyone checking us out here on the Chris Evans podcast.
Go Blue Jays.